Hey guys, Mohit here. Been a while since my last video. I haven't made a video in a while, but I have been building things and doing things in my garage, in my workshop. So I thought I'd share them with you. This is my latest build. This is a FliteTest blunt nose Versa wing. It is a wing only, so no fuselage. It does have a very large wingspan, as you can see. It's a fairly large plane. It is designed by FliteTest, of course. My Versa wing, my blunt nose Versa wing, I've made completely out of Depron. And as those of you who've worked with Depron know, there are some challenges, particularly when working with a FliteTest design and using Depron. So what I might do first is I might just take you through the components on this plane and also just some of the build techniques. Okay guys, we're in nice and close now, so I can show you some of the components. The wing is entirely made out of Depron, as I mentioned earlier. It's made out of Depron, hot glue and tape. There's various colours of tape, as well as some clear packing tape and some reinforcement tape as well. In terms of electronic components, I'll show you the back side as well. We have got a couple of little wood panels here as well, just to hold things down. This one reinforces the Mobius camera, and this panel here reinforces the mount for the battery. So, components. Let's start with the motor. The motor here is a Turnigy 2830 1000 kV motor. It is spinning a 10-inch plastic prop. It's a 10 by 4.5, I believe. The servos, there's only two servos, so the wing obviously operates with only two servos in aileron mode. These servos are metal gear Turnigys. There is the receiver for control. This receiver is the FreeSky X8R, I believe. So it has telemetry. Built some hatches on the top here. These hatches are firstly, these ones here are for the servos, and then for the receiver over here as well. Same on the other side, but on the other side, instead of the receiver, we have a transmitter. This is the video transmitter, so it transmits video back from the video camera to the goggles or the screen. So obviously you want to keep the transmitter as far away from the receiver as possible to avoid interference. In the front here, this is the board camera and the Mobius video camera. More about those later. We have a hatch. In the front here is the battery. Now you can see just below the battery there's a carbon spar. I put in a carbon fibre spar just for some reinforcement to hold the whole thing together, because it is a little bit heavy. I haven't weighed it properly yet, but it's getting up there. In here, mess of wires, of course. Now, one thing I'll show you in a moment. This is the first plane that I've built that has lights on it. I've put lights inside the wing, so the wing glows when the battery is plugged in. This here is the ESC to drive the motor. It is a plush 25 amp ESC. Should be enough power to provide thrust. What else? Here, this is a handmade LC filter, so it provides filtering of the current that's coming through from the battery through to the camera and the video transmitter, to avoid any lines appearing on the video footage. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty straightforward. There is another hatch that I put on the bottom of here as well. This is to be able to set up the antennas for the X8R receiver on the top side. Okay, so that's basically all the components. The build, as I say, was tricky. Depron is always tricky with FliteTest designs. One is the CG issue, but secondly is also just cutting and folding. Whenever you need to make a fold in Depron, you really need to score it well. Really, it needs to be a bevel cut on each fold in order to make it fold properly. You can't just put a score in like you can with a Dollar Tree foam board that they use in the US. So I'll just power it on and show you how it works. Turn my transmitter on first.
Throttle disabled.
As always, there's a throttle safety built in. So now you might be able to just see, it's a fairly bright day here in Sydney today, but you can just see the red and green glow on either side of the wing. That's the lights underneath. Okay, so controls. Left and right. We have the elevons going in opposite directions, up and down. They travel together. So there's just a mix on the elevons to control the movement. The throttle is, as always, on the safety. So if I throttle up and down, nothing's going to happen with the safety on.
Throttle active.
Turn the throttle active, and there we have our 10-inch prop. So that's basically it. Put the throttle safety back on. There we go. Okay, now that we've covered the build techniques and components, we might just have a look at some of the more overall features of the plane. Some of the difficulties with building this plane is because Depron is a bit heavier than foam board, the planes tend to turn out tail heavy. So in order to get enough weight to make it nose heavy, I really had to put quite a bit of thought into the component layout. So we've got our video camera here. This is the standard board camera for transmitting video back via our video transmitter to goggles or a screen or whatever. I've also put a Mobius in the front. The Mobius camera records in high definition and provides a high definition view of the flight. Not transmitting from there, but recording on board. Now, the reason for including the Mobius is to give you the high definition video, but mostly it's to give us that little bit of extra nose weight that we needed. There, as you saw from the component view, there are two hatches. I've tried to put as much weight in the front as possible, but however, I still needed to put a little additional weight in the form of some fishing sinkers made of lead, just in the nose here, just to add that little bit of extra weight. What I really wanted was to use the 3000 milliamp hour battery, which is, let me just get it out here. Is this one. So it's nice and small. This is a Nanotech 3000. This is a Turnigy 4000. Now it balanced out fine with the 4000 in the nose, but this is quite a bit heavier than the 3000. The 3000 is lighter and provides a good amount of power, and it really is enough. The thing is, I didn't want to make this too heavy because making it too heavy would mean that it just won't fly at all. So I really wanted to get the 3000 milliamp battery in there, which is why I needed to put those fishing weights in the front, just to make sure that it did balance out. So that's really the plane in a nutshell. We'll be taking it up for a maiden fairly soon, hopefully, and we'll see how it goes. I'm a bit nervous about flying a flying wing. I've never flown a flying wing before, and it can be tricky, particularly on launching a wing like this. It's usually best handled if you've got two people to launch it. This particular model will be even more tricky because it is a fairly large wing. But we'll try it soon and see how we go. Cheers.